We're not that far away. Oh my God, the show's live.
Depending on your math,
well, that's true. Oh my gosh, from Studio B. What is up, everybody? Welcome to the pregame show.
Let's go. Wide awake here in Studio B.
The lights are so bright in here.
Jared
Guys,
Allen.
we are 1 week away from real basketball. But first, we have fake basketball to talk about. The Nuggets taking on the Clippers. That's not the fake part. It's preseason. Starters not playing. We'll get to all of that. But it is a Clippers matchup. The Nuggets have traditionally dominated ever since Game 3 of the bubble. Do they still dominate them? Is it still a great matchup? We're going to talk about that. James Harden, you guys.
Whoa.
You guys want to do trade speculation corner?
Oh, man.
Let's get to that on the pregame today. Would he make them scary? We're also going to make bets. Dev has so many bets for us tonight.
So many.
I can't believe how many bets there are. But first, I'll introduce the panel. Over here, getting ready to sell me on a dinosaur park. It's Brendan Vogt.
Yeah, listen, it's an 8:30 start. The starters aren't playing. I'm here. I'm always going to be here, but it's a this kind of hat kind of night. You know what I mean?
Is it? It's the shirt too. It's like everything. It's very prehistoric.
Very prehistoric.
Yeah, it's like that.
You do look good, though. You look great.
I don't.
Over here, who actually looks great, Harrison Wind.
We need to form a committee and start an investigation for who put this game at 8:30 p.m.
I know. It's so true.
That person deserves to be in jail.
Oh, did my mic go away? Is it on
There is
again?
no way a preseason game should start at 8:30 p.m. We do get to watch Julian Strother,
Yeah, that's good.
but there's still no way
Well,
it should start this late.
what if Jamorko Pickett's playing heavy minutes?
There you go. He will play tonight.
I'm more of a Mita Brima guy myself, but
The panel, guys. I got Superstar Dev to get to.
It's Strother season, baby.
Let's go.
We got something to look forward to in this game that really doesn't mean a lot to the starters, but for the backups, which we're going to see for the entire game, there's a lot that we get to get out of this. So this is a pretty exciting game just because I think that there's a lot of storylines, a lot of positions to like still
any
go
night
after.
we get to watch Julian Strother is a potentially great night.
Is he the star of the show now? Speaking of which, let's get to some game notes, Wind.
Let's get to it. In terms of who's in and who's out tonight, the regular starters aren't all out tonight for the Nuggets. Nikola Jokic, Jamal Murray, KCP, Michael Porter Jr. is, I think, still technically injured, but he's out. So is Aaron Gordon. So an off night for all the starters. We assume that would be the case. And I guess the good news is, well, two things. We get to watch the bench, which I think is intriguing. Secondly, it sets up a nice potential dress rehearsal final preseason game Thursday against these same Clippers.
And I think that's actually exactly the thinking, and it probably was. Christian and MPJ could probably use an extra couple days, so we'll give the starters off so we play them then. And I'm curious to see if this happens. I'm going to make a prediction. Clippers play their starters tonight, rest them on Thursday. So both teams get a true preseason against the other team's backups.
Yeah, I think that might happen. Peyton Watson, I saw popped up on the injury report, is probable. I'm not sure what with, but I think he is playing tonight. Also, Michael Malone is rejoining the Nuggets officially tomorrow
Okay.
in Los Angeles ahead of that preseason finale on Thursday.
Okay. Yesterday at practice, David Adelman said, I hope they play their starters, they being the Clippers, because I want our young guys to have to go up against real talent, and this is one of the things is like the second and third units have been playing against other second, third units. Kawhi Leonard's a tough matchup, man. Paul George is a tough matchup. Russell Westbrook's almost an impossible matchup, especially for a young player. So I do hope those guys play tonight because I want to see Julian Strother and those guys. But more than anything, I want to see if Peyton Watson can guard one of those guys. Those guys are tough to guard. So for me, I think that's what I'm most curious about. Does Kawhi Leonard look like Michael Jordan on steroids tonight, or can Denver hang with him?
Yeah, you want to see the young guys actually compete against a starter because there are going to be times that they have to, stagger against these stars. And is that where you take the lead? Is that where you take off in the game? And also, who takes on that challenge? Peyton Watson is the first person you think of trying to become the type of defender. And if he's able to lead the team in ways that like is going to put him, for more minutes, and it's going to be defensively. So like that's the first person you think of there. But also with the young guys in Strother, he hasn't had a real look at a real starter type of look because he's been with the second unit, and it's Strother season. So we want to see that against real competition.
Yeah. Strother, I mean, there's so many eyes on him again tonight, and I haven't seen the starting lineup yet, but I'm guessing he's going to be in it potentially. So that could be just like this could be a huge launching pad for him. But Peyton Watson, to me, is the guy I have my eye on tonight. He's number one on my list in terms of guys I really want to see because he's going to be matched up on, potentially a Kawhi Leonard, maybe a Paul George. And also, man, P-Watt, I just feel like needs a really good preseason game.
We're still waiting.
I don't think he has a game where you're like, wow, that was an awesome game from Peyton Watson. His opener, I thought, was good, not great. His last two games haven't been better than that, I don't think. He, more than anybody that's kind of in play for a rotation spot, needs a great game.
Who are you excited to watch? Or what are you excited to watch?
Well, it's specifically the DHOs with Zeke Naji, and I've liked.
I'm with it though. I actually like it. I'm into it.
Are you serious? You're not serious.
What do you think? I am serious. I think
These two guys just laugh.
it doesn't feel serious anymore. It's going to be a hard take to say with my chest.
I mean,
I want to see a guy hand off a lot of times.
It's going to be a real take, too. I think the second unit does need to have some sort of identifiable and concrete identity offensively, some way they try to play. It is never going to look the way it does when Jokic is involved in a DHO. But I like that Adelman pointed it out because it's something beyond rebounding and shooting for us to key in on with Zeke Naji when it comes to him earning those minutes over Jordan. Traditionally, just rebounds and three-point shot. But that is one way that he can have utility offensively while we know defensively he's versatile. So that's his path to fitting into this group and making it a viable group. So yeah, Harrison, I am interested in Zeke Naji.
I thought you said it as a joke. I'm sorry because I kind of said it as a joke on the show a couple days ago.
Are you sure it's not the shirt, mustache, and hat?
Yes. One other thing that I really am looking forward to is the defense from the young guys. I have not actually paid as close attention with Strother because of maybe who they're playing, and also he's just been so good offensively that I haven't looked at that end of the floor. He's going to be playing against starters if he actually gets that. So I'm excited there. And then also Jalen Pickett, because I really do think that he's such a great defender that I want to see if he could lead that unit and run the offense on offense, but also defensively, because it is going to be a group that's not as good as a starting. The Clippers are a good team and they're playing against the backups. So can he lead that group defensively as well as Zeke going against another really good big that has the size for him? So defense is the key to the game right now.
On a serious note about the Zeke Naji DHO game, no, I'm dead serious.
Yeah.
He had a great pass out of the high post last game.
He did. Strother.
Was that Strother on the cut?
Yes, sir.
And I mean, that, is built off the DHO game. So Zeke taking steps as a passer, playing in that high post, that can give you some, parallels from the offense that the starters are running.
This is the important thing. And just so you know, guys, become a diehard. We're doing these round tables. We got great content, all week, but we've been doing these round tables where we talk about lineups. I don't want to give away my full thing because I really liked the question that we were talking about, which is building a great unit around Murray, and what does that look like? I will say, if Zeke can be, he's not going to be Jokic, you guys. He can't.
Sure?
Yeah, he's not. It's not like that. But the question is, can he be enough that you can run similar actions?
Correct.
You're going to run them differently. Murray's not going to be looking for him in the pocket every single time, but at least you can run some of the same stuff and have continuity. And I do think that there is, through 3 games, I do think that he has looked confident running it, which is half the battle. And it does look like, hey, you know what? That's something that we might be able to build on, and it would be a big deal. So I actually like it. I'm with you over here. I'm excited for his DHOs tonight as well.
Listen, I'm not just here to look pretty, you know what I mean?
Yeah, the Reggie Zeke DHOs are going to really crush tonight. I will say one thing, though, another thing I'm excited for. Bones Hyland going up against Denver's backcourt. I think that could be, I will say, man, Pickett, Colin, really small, kind of flat-footed. Bones, really quick. This would be a real challenge for them tonight, and you know Bones always enjoys going up against his old team. So looking for those things. Lastly, Justin Holiday playing with the bench minutes. That'll be really big. Whenever the
Yeah, he's the one starter who did not get the night off tonight.
Do you think he was like, hey, you said starters?
Yeah. Oh, starters are out. Sweet, man.
Yeah.
It's like, nah, you're in, bro.
He's been getting on bus one. They're like, you're actually a bus two.
You're a bus too.
You're a
man.
bus
I think he's
two.
fine with that. He's like, they just now took me off of the summer league roster.
Yeah, you're like,
so
man,
I'm playing
my
as
spot-
much as
my
I
spot's
can.
safe, I guess.
All right, let's move on now, though, to talk about, I don't know if you guys remember, but the Clippers back in 2020 inside of Disney World, they were up 3-1 on the Denver Nuggets.
Oh, yeah, they were. That's
Paul
right.
Millsap gets in a little kerfuffle. Some of the family was dancing. They were feeling pretty good. They're up 15. A little kerfuffle.
It looked just like that.
That was a good
When the
impression.
Clippers' wives were dancing, that's what it looked like.
Dancing in a seated chair.
That's what they were doing. I'm reporting the facts here.
You're not wrong.
From
Dancing
that
while
moment,
seated.
there was an actual literal moment when the Clippers went from a team that was having their way with Denver to a team that has been just completely overwhelmed by them. And it was that moment. Denver's owned them, not just that year coming back, but every year since. It's a good matchup. It has been. But is it still a good matchup? They got, I guess you're going to laugh, they got Mason Plumlee, who is a backup center. They didn't have one before.
By the way, he's out tonight.
tonight. I'm not worried about tonight, but per
I
se.
just wanted to get that out there.
But going forward, it is another guy who has 6 fouls, which I do think teams need a second big. Not everybody carried one in the years past. They have one. I don't know. Bones Hyland also, provides some speed, perhaps, gives them an injection. Then Russell Westbrook. Dev, is this still a good matchup for Denver, or is it maybe a little tougher than people think?
Absolutely, it's a good matchup
All right.
still. Like, honestly, if you think about teams who could come out the West, the Clippers' name's always in it. And it's because
Yeah.
of, the health factor. That's really been, a big, step down for them. Kawhi is always having to do the load management. They haven't had much of Paul George and Kawhi at the exact same time. They have a really good backup center. Not many teams have that. And then also Bones off the bench. They still have a really good and complete team. It just has to come together. As well as, they don't have the Doc Rivers thing anymore. But
That's a good point.
So I do think that when you just look at it on paper, this is still a good matchup. And you're always going to think about the 3-1. From their side, it's the one that got away because they felt like they could have won it all that year, but they let that happen, and only if they weren't in the bubble. And then on the other side, it's hey, the bubble was the purest basketball, and we won it fair and square, and that's what we're gonna think. So I think that that it's still a real thing.
The Clippers do have some believers, including the one GM that keeps giving them a vote in the annual GM survey.
Yeah.
That GM is still a believer. But they do have a lot of very capable and long and versatile defenders. And that, I think, is a big ingredient in just guarding the Nuggets. You need guys like Paul George, Kawhi Leonard, Terrence Mann, who can switch, guard multiple positions, show a bigger body to Jamal Murray. So in that sense, I think they are a solid matchup for Denver. But the thing is, and this is, I think has been the case ever since the bubble, the Nuggets, they don't think the Clippers are a good matchup for them, I don't think. I think mentally they have such an edge over the Clippers where they come into these matchups, and I don't think Denver is ever worried or scared or threatened by the Clippers at all. And I think that's been built from what started in the bubble and has continued over the last several years. I don't think the Nuggets are frightened. I don't think they're moved by the Clippers at all.
I think the one place the matchup has changed from the bubble, and it was a little bit present then, is I think you can definitely argue the Clippers are deeper. I think the second
They
unit,
do have a good bench.
I think they have more players on their second unit. That's such a dumb sentence, but I think everyone understands what it conveys. The starters, I still like the matchup for Denver. I actually think the Clippers present more matchup problems for other teams in the league than they do for Denver. Denver, particularly, they're virtually helpless guarding him. Yes, they have Mason Plumlee. He's in the Nurkic camp of 3 fouls in 10 minutes. Thanks for playing, Zubac can't do it. He's a great player. He can't do it. So it hasn't, their length doesn't bother Denver in the same way. And then Denver's Aaron Gordon and Michael Porter Jr. are these big guys as well who can match up with their size, but they're not necessarily these perimeter-oriented guys. So I think the crux of it is that the Clippers' strengths don't overlap with Denver's weaknesses the way
Right.
a bad matchup typically would.
Kawhi Leonard in particular really is the baddest dude on the planet against some teams, and just not Denver for whatever reason. I think a lot of it has to do with Jokic. Like, Jokic is really good positional defender. It forces him into some of the tougher stuff. And yeah, it's not a spread pick and roll team. So I think there's something to it. But I will say depth does matter.
It does.
At the right spots. And I do think center is one of those spots when you go up against Denver, you just need to be able to throw multiple bodies. And then the last thing I'll say is I think the one way, if you told me, like, how does a team beat Denver in the playoffs? I don't think you're going to beat Denver starters because I just think they're the best starting lineup. You have to go close to them. You have to be close. And then you have to murder their bench minutes. Every minute Yoke's off the court, you have to be able to, like, put that fear, that 8-0 run that makes, all right, we have to get Yoki only rested for 60 seconds. We have to get him back in. That's the recipe. And I look at them and I go, their bench could do that. They have the horses to be able to do that. I don't think they will, but that's why I think that maybe they are a slightly tougher matchup than they have been in previous years. That being said, I still like Denver. Tonight's starters, by the way, for the Clippers, Westbrook, Paul George, Kawhi Leonard, Nick Batum, and Ivica Zubac. So they are going with their full team.
Nice.
And then the Nuggets starters, Reggie Jackson, Julian Strawther, Justin Holiday, Peyton Watson, and DeAndre Jordan.
Oh.
So DHO is going to have to wait.
I hate that, man. Why are they starting DeAndre Jordan?
Ivica Zubac.
Is that really a? I mean,
It's not like Ivica Zubac is 7'5". It's not like he's Andre Drummond out there.
Well, this is their offset game because Reggie and DeAndre Jordan didn't play last game either.
I know, but like, does Zeke
That's true.
Naji
That's
really
the point
need the rest? And do we need to see DeAndre Jordan play 20 minutes? The answer is no.
They're both
Well,
going to get a
also-
crack at it, though.
Yeah, but why
here's-
wouldn't you want Zeke with the regular bench, though?
This is the thing is we actually haven't seen Justin Holiday with the bench.
Yeah.
And now we're not seeing it. We're seeing it with DeAndre Jordan. We haven't seen Reggie and Peyton and Zeke. We haven't seen it. And so tonight you would see it except for DeAndre Jordan.
We
It's a little
do
weird.
not need to see DeAndre Jordan
I-
in the
I-
preseason.
I
We
kinda-
know exactly what he's going to bring. We know exactly what he's going to do. We need to see as many Zeke Naji minutes as possible.
I was gonna say, like Dev's counter, that DeAndre's gonna get a crack at it, but you're also right that isn't he a known commodity? And yeah.
I don't know. I mean, it's a small thing. I don't think DeAndre Jordan needs preseason minutes, but it's a small thing that I'll be upset about.
Moving on to our next topic here. James Harden.
Dude, let's get him.
James Harden
Oh.
is rumored, obviously he's can't be repaired. The 76ers situation, that one's just kind of lingering in the air. I think it will come to a resolution, and the Clippers really want him. You guys know why? Because the players there really want him. And also, according to today, there was a report, Ballmer likes that the timeline matches the current guys, right?
that is
Westbrook,
true.
Paul George, Kawhi Leonard. I think Ballmer wants this era to, he doesn't want to give up on it, but he also doesn't want it to go forever. So he's like, all right, 2 more years of this.
Clean break.
Yeah, and then let's break that off. If this can be James Harden has been disappointing his last couple stops, but he's a phenomenal player. Could this be the thing? The Clippers, did they learn their lesson? No, but they could triple down in a way that might make them more dangerous, Dev.
You're saying, does this make them more dangerous?
I'm asking.
I mean, yes, James Harden is a talented player like that. You still can. You don't build around him, but you already have the build in play.
Yeah.
Like they have the foundation there, and also he's a really good passer. He can score. We haven't seen him as the guy in a while, but with that, it just gives them more depth, and that's like the thing that separates them from everyone else. I think that we're just so thrown off by how much he's pouted and how things have kind of went around him that you can't separate the basketball player from the person. But on a basketball court, he's still really dangerous and he makes them better. I'm guessing that means they get rid of Trey Mann or something like that. But
Terrence Mann, yeah.
Terrence Mann.
Yeah.
But I mean, you still have your core, and that's what matters. So you have that small window.
Like you do that trade.
You also probably get rid of Bones, to be honest with you, at that point, because that's a point guard. You have Westbrook and him, so that's 2 point guards. I don't know what Bones does next to either of those guys, so maybe that's it.
James Harden would fit in. He'd fit in phenomenally
Culturally.
with the Clippers. Yeah, culturally, just great front-running regular season player who folds in the playoffs.
All ISO over there too.
Your turn, my turn, his turn, your turn.
He makes them both more dangerous and easier to write off for the exact same reasons that they're already both dangerous and easy to write off. It's leaning in for sure. I will give Ballmer credit. That framing is accurate, right? Let's go all in on whatever this is. These are still our guys. and he does fit their timeline. I think Dev hit the nail on the head. It's James Harden is easily a top 20 basketball player in the world still. Is he a pain in the ass?
Man,
it looks
top
that
20?
It looks that way. I think so.
I'm just not as high on James Harden as you guys. I mean, regular season, meaningless games, absolutely. The second shit really starts to matter in the playoffs, James Harden is not a guy I want to go to battle with at all.
That's why I wouldn't put him anywhere near my top 12 or whatever.
I know he'd have to be the third best player on the Clippers. That's a safe space.
But I do think whatever the number is, I think Dev's right that he's still better than his reputation seems to imply.
I will say this. I kind of hope it happens because to me it would be the funniest anti-Nuggets team ever. This team that just keeps doubling.
Feels so good to beat
They
them.
started with Paul George and Kawhi Leonard, then they added Westbrook, and it was like, oh my god, what are they doing here? And then if they added Harden on top of that, it would just be like, all right,
Yeah,
let's
just
final
go
boss.
get Ben Simmons.
It's the final boss of the super team era. Is if they get James
they have
Harden, it's like
Westbrook
perfect.
on that team too. Which yeah.
All right, I kind of think it happens. By the way, I just kind of feel like there's not a big market out there for James Harden,
well, there is no market. It's the Clippers he's sitting out the year.
and
Those
I
are the two
just
options.
don't see that happening. So I kind of feel like this happens, and you know what? Intriguing. Let's just say intriguing. All right, let's open up the Bet365 app and make all kinds of reckless bets on a game that features nothing but variables.
Well, Denver comes in his game as 8.5 point underdogs.
Wow, what a line.
8.5. It started at 7.5, so like the writing was on the wall. They kind of assumed that the starters wasn't going to
No
be playing.
belief in
But-
King Julian,
Yeah,
Man, that's messed up.
in Julian Caesar.
By the way, real quick, Dev, did you see today there was an article about it was Vegas handicappers talking about who makes the biggest difference on a line?
Yeah.
Number one, Nikola Jokic.
I would
I've
hope
noticed
so.
that actually as someone.
I'm just
Did
saying.
you see who number 2 was?
Giannis?
No, I think it was Embiid.
Was it Embiid? Okay.
He typically comes in second. Yeah.
there's a lot of free throws and stuff
we're
too.
in it,
That's
man.
good.
Let's go.
All
right.
With this one, I mean, it is a tough line. 8.5.
Dev's been just like, he's been staring at his phone for the last 2 hours deciding what side he needs to take on it.
Because that's a
hilarious.
good line at 8.5. Like you don't know how
good
much
line.
you don't know how much the Clippers are going to play. So like if you want to take money, which you should not, like I would do Clippers minus 4.5 for the first quarter.
Okay.
Good bet.
I would go under 110.5 or 111 for the first half. I just don't think that I don't think that Denver tries to go out and run with them, but also I don't think the Clippers are going to try to go all out as well.
Okay.
So I would go under 111.5. First quarter.
Okay.
Clippers?
It's 2.5. Do we want it? Do we think that Denver comes out and plays
I mean,
hard?
how many threes does Julian Strother hit in the first quarter?
There's that early blitz where you're just not expecting. Let's just
I think Denver's going to get smoked tonight, guys.
I
Come
think that
on.
they're going to get smoked tonight, but we need something to root for. Let's go
Okay.
with Denver first
quarter?
Look at this.
plus 2.5.
I
Just
like the
for
new
crazy.
something
Dev.
fun.
The old Dev
quarter.
would be like Paul George points over.
Plus 2.5.
They don't offer those things,
okay.
and also it doesn't matter. I don't know how much they play,
There's just no way.
but I think
can't do
Denver's
it.
going to keep it close.
Okay.
First half plus 2.5. Let's go with
Okay.
that one.
First half?
No,
Or
first quarter. First quarter.
I don't like
I
it at all.
can't. This is a stay away from
You should
whole
have told
beer.
me like over 50 or under 56. I can't do that. I can't do 2.5. I think they get smoked. Dev's
gonna go
going
with
to
it.
make us money. You talk trash to us in the post game.
I'm going for it. That's the one that I'm going with.
Okay. Is there any other like weird player props tonight that you're seeing?
There are some boosts, but don't take them because they involve the Nuggets starters.
Yeah, that's what I was looking at too.
So stay away from those. Shout out to Bet365.
You know what? I do see an interesting one on here. It does have Julian Strother 2.5 threes.
2.5.
Yeah.
Let's go for it.
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah,
Let's go
I mean,
for
you
it.
got to go over. That's a clear over for me.
You can actually parlay that with Bones Hyland 2.5 threes.
I would take that parlay.
That's a fun parlay, actually. That's a fun one.
What's Bones been up to in the preseason?
He's been dominating
But that-
and
dude,
earning the respect of his peers.
Ask all your Clipper fan friends. They have. All
I
of
don't
them.
know any.
Yeah, they've been loving him. Jokes aside, they've been loving him in the early start to the season.
Yeah, that's,
It does
we
have
know the feeling.
It does have an interesting one here. Who gets more minutes, Pickett or Gillespie? You can bet on either one here.
That's a bet that you get to make.
Not really.
Pick it,
None
baby.
of these are.
Pick it.
So
You think-
shield your ears. I hope it's Gillespie because we saw Pickett last game.
Yeah.
Now I feel like we should see Gillespie.
Yeah.
I think that they really want to give Pickett like his run to see what that looks like. Also, he's going to be the backup. I think he's going to be the backup with Reggie today. I think they're going to give Reggie a long run. It's his old, like his former team. Also, he didn't play last game.
Right.
You got to go with Pickett. I think that he's the one that is the second guy up.
This is a really strange one they have in here. Will the DNVR postgame be favorable or unfavorable about Reggie Jackson's performance? Really interesting one.
In this one, it's going to be favorable. I think he's going to play well.
He's going to play well.
He's going to
tonight.
play well against his former team. And also,
and his former teammate.
yeah, the it's what you want out of Reggie. I think that's what it is. Is he scoring? Do you want him to run the offense? Do you want him to get some assists?
Just asking if we're going to be
guess
favorable. That's
It's
all
going to be
it's asking.
favorable.
Is it yes, like plus 500?
What about that? Is them sharing the floor minus 2,000? Like what?
What do you think?
Man, I said at the top of the show, it's a big night for Peyton Watson because he hasn't had that real awesome preseason game yet. I think you can say the same for Reggie Jackson. He hasn't had a game this preseason where you're like, all right, now I have confidence in Reggie. I think it's a big game for him, and I do like that the Clippers are playing their guys, so he's going up against a real defense. I don't know, though.
You're still going to say unfavorable, huh?
I mean, we just haven't seen it from Reggie yet this preseason. We haven't seen a ton of signs, I don't think, that he is very different than the player he was last year. We just have not seen that yet. Maybe that changes tonight.
There is a crazy bet here, though. I'm seeing just came through. It's who will have the best game of their preseason. The best, and you can bet on any player. It's really crazy.
Yeah, I think the value here is on Peyton Watson, and he hasn't performed to date, so that's why you see the odds where they
Okay.
are on
Yeah,
that bet.
roster
You know what I
so,
mean?
yeah.
So there's value there because he does need to have a moment sooner rather than later. And as you brilliant analysts, scholars, and gentlemen outlined earlier in the show, what a potential matchup for him to embrace and go have his best preseason game. So I like Peyton Watson for the value bet there.
What do you think, Dev?
I'm going to go with Pickett.
All right.
I think it's a Pickett type of game. And
Pickett versus Bones.
I think that he takes on that challenge. I think there might be a little bit of trash talking going on there. And he talked about it. That's the way to get him going. Bones is going to let, Denver hear it. He's going to probably be trash talking the bench because all those guys will be there. And those are his former. These new guys aren't his guys. He's going to try to go after them. And they're also going to try to prove that they have it as well. So I'm looking forward to that matchup.
Also, man, Bones saw the Calvin comments.
Absolutely.
Yeah. You know who also saw those comments? Monte Morris.
Did he?
Did you
Yeah,
see
he
that?
did reply.
What did he say?
He said, if this is true, it's wild or something like that. Let me try to find the real tweet.
All right. All right. What do you think? What odds are you taking there?
Who am
Best
I
game,
taking to
best
have
game
their
of their-
best game? I think Piwat. I think that's a good bet, just because he has the opportunity tonight.
Okay.
He's going to be guarding Paul George, Kawhi Leonard. There's a lot of chances for him to have some moments that we feel really good about.
Okay, I like it. I kind of think this one might be ugly, guys. I have a hard time. I'm gonna go with. I'll go Hunter Tyson.
That's a low risk bet.
Yeah, it's a low risk bet. They really limit how much you can bet on it. So I'm only putting my $5 on it. And that does it for the pre. I will say this: these games to me are more interesting than the other ones because the starters looked good. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. The starters are champions. Perfect. Let's see everyone else. We're gonna get a heavy dose of everyone else. It'll probably be ugly in parts tonight, but there's going to be a lot to mine from it, and that's why I'm excited. So, everybody, throw us a like on the way out, head on over, and then after the game, meet us in the post-game lounge.
We all silly like the mayor.